another edition of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. I'm feeling much better. My name is Jonathon Howe. He is Travis Cunningham. This is episode 71 of the show. And Travis, for episode 71, of course, brought to you by Bicknell Racing Products and Ohsweken Speedway. Who do you think of first with the number 71?
Well, a lot of people forget about this person running this number, but it's me. My 3 wins in a 360 sprint car came in the number 71, owned by Eric McNeven. And little fun side piece about today, it's my mom's 71st birthday on episode 71, so that's kind of cute too. And yeah, 71, TC.
Yeah, I was going to say.
5 years of it.
We got to give a shout out to Rose.
Yep.
Got to give a shout for Rosie. Happy birthday.
She's the best.
Hope you guys enjoyed it. I heard you were having some pizza down in the shop. That sounds like a fun time to celebrate.
And Swiss Chalet tomorrow.
Nice. I like it. I'll go with Austin Worstrow. 71, a pretty popular number in general around here. I believe, did the Sliders, I don't remember which Slider would have piloted it last. Maybe was it
Sean.
Dylan Slider? Probably Sean that piloted the sprint car 71.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Mike Bowman.
Mike Bowman, of course. John Cadman.
When I switched to drive for Eric in the sprint car, when I went from 91 in my mod to 71, no one really knew that all my mod friends didn't know I got a ride or whatever. And they would always ask me, oh, did you go 71 because of Bowman? They used to drive me nuts a little bit. Because honestly, when I took over the ride from Eric, the first question I had was, can I change the number? And I got the quickest no ever.
That's all you want to do, right? You're like, I want to change the number. I want it to be me. Nope. No, you drive the car.
Nope.
You're not. It's not your car.
Yep.
You just drive it.
Correct.
So, a bit of sad news to start off the show. Of course, the racing community, I've seen lots of posts online remembering the great Ivan Little, who we lost just a few days prior to the taping of this one. Passed away at 85 years old on last Wednesday, or I guess Wednesday the 25th, from when you're listening to this, depending on where you're listening to. But Driving Ivan, I mean, Hall of Famer, a driver that is so important to modified racing in the Northeast that Stuart Friesen ran a tribute scheme for the throwback race at Darlington to Ivan Little. And I know all of us here got a kick out of that. I'm sure Ivan did as well. But it was super sad news. Sad that I never really got to know him. I think I may have met him once or twice, but it's one of those things where you come into this community, the dirt world, and you want to get to know the legends and embrace them and learn from them. And obviously, I'm sure you've got an Ivan little story. A lot of us do, or a lot of people do, at least in this community. But I think you've got his stats in front of you too, Travis. I mean, Hall of Fame career and just an epic
it's not
stat
all
line.
Of his stats, but the Dirt Car Modified Hall of Fame posted this on Wednesday when he passed. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 96, so he's a true Hall of Famer, Merrittville Hall of Famer, and Northeast Dirt Modified Hall of Famer. So that's pretty badass right there just to start. And then he was at Merrittville opening night in June 1955. He said it was just him and a couple of his buddies tossed a car together, and he said he got lapped twice. Said the partnership dissolved there, but then he built his own car and came back honing his skills at Ransomville, Humberstone, in addition to Merrittville. And then I saw Brent Bigelow post about this, about how him and Gino Bigelow were real good friends back in the day. And they went actually super modified racing for a few years, and from 64 to about 66-ish. And then he would come back to the dirt tracks here locally. And in 70, he won modified titles at Merrittville in 70 and Ransomville in 71. And the first one, where is that? Yeah, his first modified title was in 66. And then he won another one in 71. So he's a few titleists around here, over 200 wins. Biggest win of his career was a 1970 Southern Tier Open at 5 Mile Point Speedway, which is a cool little bull ring in the Southern Tier. And he said his best season was in 1967 when he won 25 features. And my favorite story about him, like it says it here. To be sure, when Little pulled through the gates, his entry was a showstopper. A painstakingly prepared number 61 modified with chrome-plated bumpers embezzled and crimson flames, and like everyone says, like how that car never had a speck of dirt on it. And I know dirt racers always get uh, razzed on by the pavement guys saying our cars are dirty. Well, take a walk through the dirt pits, and the people that really care about the cars, there's not a speck of dirt on it. And in my opinion, they're cleaner than a pavement car because we have to clean them all the time. And just the way his car always looked like that, and he always showed up late, like the cool guys do, like Danny Johnson does that, and Scott Bloomquist is known for doing that. Ivan would do it too, just roll in super late and unload and get it done. And I think I read somewhere like at Weedsport or one of the tracks, they would say, and now the real racing can commence. Ivan Little has arrived when he rolls in late. So super cool. I love that story.
Yeah, I'm looking at the it's in the obituary here to Dizzy Dean Murray, who was the track announcer at Speedway Park in Cayuga. That was his
Yeah,
line.
that's it.
Now the
Speedway
racing can
Park.
begin because Ivan Little has arrived. That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it was such a sick car. Like that is one of the coolest, most iconic modifieds. That that flame scheme just it's so perfect. I love the way that race car looks. And just yeah, thinking of the whole little family and everybody who was touched by driving Ivan and yeah, epic loss for our community.
No doubt. And I just want to know, like, his wife died not that long ago. So it's almost like he didn't want to hear that kind of stuff all the time. I think it's super cute when you hear that kind of stuff. Just didn't
Yeah,
live without her.
yeah. We do want to jump into some racing because while I was sick last week, out for a few days, there was racing going on the weekend prior. So let's jump back to October 14th at Brockville for the first of 2 nights of the Fall Nationals there. Um, with the sportsman, Brennan Moore gets the win in the 35B over Bobby Harrington. Gabriel Sire, Shane Pecor, and Nicholas Roach, your top five. Jessica Power, sixth. Um, doesn't
That would
look
have been
like
the
I'm trying to
Friday
see
night.
if that was the Friday night. Yeah, that was the first night of racing as part of the
Yeah.
Fall National. So
Yes.
they kind of were the headliner of that
Yeah.
one. Nathan Peaty made the big show. He ended up finishing 25th. One of our kind of local guys. Having a look through the lineup here, I don't think there's anybody else that was too local that was in the big show on the Friday night.
No, I don't think so. I was, yeah, honestly didn't pay too much attention to the Friday night on that one. The Saturday was the bigger one I was paying attention to, with the all the dirt car titles on the line on Friday.
Yeah,
Saturday.
exactly. It was just a sprint car or just a
And
modified
SOS
shootout, I
title
should
too.
say, on Friday. SOS were on Saturday, like you say.
Technically, yeah.
So,
Technically, the SOS title was sewn up, but
yeah.
it was their finale.
Either way, it was 2 nights. That was the first night that really kicked it off. But let's have a focus in and kind of zoom in on the Saturday events, like you say. Uh, right off the hop, you did not go to this event for the Southern Ontario Sprints. You parked it. You're calling it a season. Didn't want to make the haul, so that's where we'll start with that. You weren't there, but it was one of those nights
No,
that uh, the top drivers were the top drivers, man. I mean, Jordan Poirier gets the big win in the 360s. Ryan Turner had himself a podium finish. Sean Evans with a great finish in the 87X in second. Darren Dryden, Matt Tanner, your top five. The title already sewn up at that point, and Dylan Westbrook is the champion of the 360s for the Southern Ontario Sprints in 2023.
yep. G-Dub definitely was the man to beat on that all year, no doubt about it. Yeah, he didn't even have to go. No D-Dub. D-Dubs didn't go either. He already had her sewed up.
Yeah, exactly. Decided to
I think it was
save that
only
last night.
Palace, Turner, Sean Evans. Sean Evans, I got to give him a shout out. That was a real good run for him to pass all those cars on a rubber down surface like that. And yeah, I think he had to go like 6th to 2nd. And when Brockville gets rubber down, that's a pretty good feat. So who else went? Evans. I said Palace.
Liam Martin from down
Liam
this way was
Martin
down there. He
and
ended up finishing
yeah,
sixth.
Dryden. Like yeah, those are all the guys that hit every. They didn't miss a single SOS race. So yeah, I
Yeah, it
think they're the only dudes to do it.
was awesome.
Did Mitch
Got
Brown go?
I don't see Mitch Brown
I
here
don't
on
think
the
so. No,
list. No.
that's a hard one to do at the end of the year for us.
Well, yeah, especially I feel like the Sprint Car Nationals are not like not a season closer, but for a lot of guys that really is like the big one you guys focus on, and then you can kind of call it a day from there. Maybe you make it down to the Fall Classic with the Humberstone events, but um, yeah, it's it's tough to be still racing in mid October in Southern Ontario, man. This weather is very
It's a good thing
unpredictable.
too. Yep.
You were saying good thing too.
Oh, it is a good thing to be racing that long as well, but yeah,
Well,
it's
it
just
could be worse, right? It could be snowing, right? We could be having all our grounds frozen over, and we could not be able to race at all. So, pluses and minuses. But I guess kind of the headlining event of this trip to the bull ring in Brockville was the championship race for the
definitely
Dirt
was.
Car 358s. Corey Wheeler picks up the win. Matt Williamson, after starting fifth, finishes second, and that is more than enough to clinch the 358 Tour title for him.
Yeah. So Money Matt, I think that's his first 358 dirt car title, if I'm not mistaken. So he always wins all the big block stuff first and then wins the small block stuff. He always goes backwards with it. But yeah, finally gets that championship. And the only reason he even got to try for it is because Port Royal rained out for their big 53,000 or 50,000 to win at Port Royal. It got washed out early, so Matt was able to switch gears and go try to win the title, and he did. And Corey Wheeler, he's like
Hmm.
the Eastern Ontario version of Money Matt. I saw someone make a name with Corey Wheeler and Money's name mixed into it because he seems to win a lot of their 10,000 to win shows and big shows out that way. He's good buddies of Slack. I know that.
Nice. Uh, Ryan I'm gonna totally botch your last name here. Ryan Arbuthnot.
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 Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Arbuthnot, Kyle Dingwall, and Brian McDonald round out your top five there. Should shout out to Eric Rudolph, who brought it home sixth from after he made the long trek up that way. And
Mhm.
overall, just kind of bummed. I kind of bummed I didn't end up going to this one. Like, I really enjoyed my time at Brockville earlier in the year, and now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh, you know what? That would have actually kind
This
of been a
one,
fun drive up.
that race would almost like technically be better to go to as a fan than the big
Yeah,
block race because they get so many cars.
yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I'm like,
My,
the car count was amazing. Like, the Saturday Sportsman event, they had 30 cars in the feature.
yep.
That
Uh,
Saturday night won by Zach Sabatka, I should say. Nicholas Root was second, Bobby Harrington third, Jessica Power fourth, and Tristan Latisseur rounds out your top five there. Good to see Gavin Isley, one of our mainstays from the iRacing series, the BRP Productions iRacing series. So he made the trip up and ended up finishing seventh for Gavin at Brockville. That was pretty cool to see. And even Craig Hanley was even in a Sportsman and had a 12th place finish in that.
yep. A bunch of locals always go up for that one. I forget the guy's name who clinched the sportsman title for dirt car. Andrew Buff. Oh, it just came to me. 92. That's who clinched that.
And
He did. He's
congratulations
a
there.
Fulton guy. Yeah, that was another big deal about that. All the dirt car guys got crowned.
I should mention the street stocks as well. Justin Ramsey picks up the win over Todd Raby, Brock Gregory, Tyler French, and Adam Wells. Your top five in the street stocks over at Brockville. All the results can be found on BrockvilleSpeedway.com if you want to go back and check out and read a pretty lengthy recap as well. Good job to whoever was writing for this. I'm trying to see if there's Tim Baltz. Tim Baltz did the write up on Saturday. Really appreciate that bit of journalism, Tim.
Yeah, he's one. He's a great announcer.
James
He
Friesen.
did the Super Dirt Car Series for a
Yes.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to hear him call a race earlier this summer. Of course, the Super Duper Series was up there. And we got to jump in and talk about James Friesen picking up a big win.
Yep. He won down at Outlaw Speedway. Cody was down there as well. They were going after. It was only a 30 lapper, paying $5,000 for the sportsman. So crazy money to win for only a 30 lapper. Like even modified, usually got to go at least 50 laps for that.
Yeah.
So 30 laps, 50 for $5,000 to win, and JMF got her done. And I've heard people say like call it the 24 hours of Black Rock and stuff where you run your heat early. Cody made a comment. I saw that on Facebook about running his heat at like 3:30 and it was 9. Still hadn't run the feature yet, but yeah, JMF didn't let that bug him. Parked it.
Yeah, it was a great job for him. And we had him on the show late last year, and he talked about that. He loves to just chase races later into the season, and usually ends up having some success doing that too. So glad he kept up the winning ways as we head into close to the off season. Of course, I don't know if James is heading down to Charlotte to be a part of that action at all.
No, I checked the entry list today, and no,
No, no. So
I have that on the TV right now. Pro stocks are up there currently.
Yeah, it's Thursday as we record this. So what's is there? I'm trying to
We were
remember
going to
what's on
have
the
Jessica
schedule.
Power on this week, but
Yeah,
she couldn't do it because she is at Charlotte.
exactly. So I was gonna
Yeah.
say I think what's on the schedule today? Is it everybody racing or is it just a
Oh, it's
time
like
trial night?
there's like 10 classes there. I could, yeah, tonight's time trials and maybe like a quick 20 lap feature after the time trials
Yeah,
is what I gathered from looking at the thing. But there's like 10 classes there. There's 64 when I checked after work, like right after work, like 64 604 late models, which is like our kind of style crate late
yeah,
models. And then they have like a whole other 602 crate class as well, which is like what the sportsmen run. Their engines, and there was another 50 so of them, and then even there was 30 something sportsmen. And this race has struggled for sportsman car count in the past, so I was pumped to see almost 40 sportsmen down there.
yeah. It's gonna be great to watch all weekend long. As this is kind of where the season really kind of comes to an end. The World Finals, short track World Finals down in Charlotte. I mean, I say that there's still going to be races on
This
the
isn't the real
calendar.
world finals though,
No,
right? This is this one makes them on money because all those cars there. There's almost 500 competitors there. I saw Dean Reynolds post.
yeah, that's so
So
awesome to
imagine
see.
that, all their entry fees, all their pit. Yeah, most of these classes, I don't know what they're paying to win, but definitely a good money maker for dirt car, I'd say, this weekend. And then the professionals roll in next week, and they
Yeah,
settle all the dirt car titles. The real world finals.
awesome. Oh, that's wicked. I'm like kind of like sad that we're at the end of this season, but at the same time, I'm like really excited to watch this weekend now because of it. It's like I kind of went through a dip, especially while I was sick. I was like, I don't want to think about race cars right now. I just want to sleep all day long.
How dare you?
I know. How could I say such a thing? But now I'm like reinvigorated because I'm like, no, we got to celebrate this weekend. Like it is really, we're gonna be looking at not a long off season, but a long enough off season. So we should really embrace it. We should
Oh,
embrace Eastern States. We got to talk about the Eastern States 200 that Matt Williamson won over Stuart Friesen, Jimmy Phelps, Max McLaughlin, and Jack Lehner. Uh, what did you make of this one and Matt's performance down there?
um, well, we're going to start off by saying this is the only like 200 lap race. People call it like a true, but they have live pit stops and you go down a lap if you don't, like true old NASCAR style pit stops and everything, right? And they did make a couple hiccups. Like I didn't watch the stream, but I heard that they had to park the cars twice and try to sort out the scoring after pit stops and stuff. And I've listened to, now that I've got AirPods at work, I can listen to podcasts all day. And I've been going through the Loud Pedal podcast or whatever it's called. But anyway, they get lots of dirt modified guys as well. And I listen to Matt Shepard. And if Matt Shepard says the 200 lappers need to have a break at lap 100 and lose the radios and all that stuff, probably a good indication that you should. And Orange County is the only one left. And there was guys running out of gas at the end. Matt Shepard ran out of gas twice in the last 20 laps, just because he was pitting. He ran out and repitted. Didn't stay there long enough to get the quick fill in, and ended up got all the way back through the field, like up the fourth, and ran out again, like pain in the butt. That's how Matt got the lead, I think. I'm pretty sure someone ran out of gas in front of him, Tyler Dipple, or his car broke or something. Yeah, Dipple was leading late. He's the guy that no one likes. Like Peter Britton openly hates that guy. Like
Yeah.
talked smack about him in a redraw earlier in the year. Yeah, so no one won. Everyone was probably cheering when Dipple went out, and then Money Matt took the lead. And sure enough, another 30K for Money Matt. Another 200 lap win
Guy
for
just
Money
knows how
Matt.
to get it done. Guy just knows how to get it done when
Seriously,
the big checks are on the table, man. Like it is awesome to see. So cool. Matt's gonna be actually on chatting with Rod Mahood on the Niagara Sports Report. So good to see that he's making headlines and bringing some dirt content to a general sports show over on News Talk 610 this weekend. So watch for that. I think the links are up on Rod Mahood's socials as well as at 610 CKTB. And I only tease that because they're a sister station of Hits FM. And the studio is right next door to where I record my radio show. So I figured, yeah, help them out, get them a little plug. And catch that interview with Matt over the weekend. That's going to be cool to see. What do you think of Matt? What do you think of Matt's chances? What are your predictions for World Finals? Who you circling in the modifieds down there? The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Ohsweken Speedway, Southern Ontario's home for Friday night excitement. For over 25 years, Ohsweken Speedway has promoted and played host to sprint car racing with a new season of family-friendly events on the horizon. But first, we celebrate the 2023 season with the Night of Champions 2023 Ohsweken Speedway Banquet, happening Friday, November 17th. Doors open at 5 p.m., dinner is served at 6:30, with the awards ceremony scheduled for 8 p.m. and the dance beginning promptly at 9:30 p.m. Tickets start at $50 per person, and the event will take place at Carmen's Banquet Center, 1520 Stone Church Road East, Hamilton, Ontario. Race teams looking for full tables for the banquet need to contact Tina Stiers at 519-770-9268 or tinamstiers@gmail.com. To keep up to date with the latest news from the track, be sure to find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For track information on policies, admissions, directions, and more, be sure to visit ohswekenspeedway.ca. That's OHSWEKEN Speedway.ca. Ohsweken Speedway, your home for Friday night excitement. Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Bicknell Racing Products. The last 40 years plus have seen Bicknell Racing Products grow to be an industry leader for racers and enthusiasts alike. Their St. Catharines location is home to 20,000 square feet of manufacturing and retail space, with a second store in Niagara Falls, New York, and a dealer network that continues to grow day by day to serve Southern Ontario, Western New York, and beyond. Bicknell Racing Products distributes Hoosier tires for much of Eastern Canada, New York, and even parts of Pennsylvania. BRP has everything you could need to keep your car performing at its peak, with genuine parts from the manufacturer. They even have a technical support line committed to helping you with the most up-to-date information and feedback from racers and crew chiefs. Have you ever thought about a career in the automotive or racing industry? Now is your chance to take the leap with Bicknell Racing Products. They are looking for CNC machine operators, welders, and more to join their team this season. Please send all resumes to Dana Curving at BicknellRacingProducts.com. That's DANACURVIN at BicknellRacingProducts.com. For further information on Bicknell Racing Products and to find a dealer near you, visit BRP online at www.BicknellRacingProducts.com or on Facebook or at twitter.com/BicknellRacing.
Ooh, Matt's good down there. I can see him winning at least. There's 3 features, I think. Last year he won 2 out of 3. And Matthew Desjardins won the other one, and now he's retired. Crazy how racing works. Mm-hmm. And then, Matt won the other 2 last year, and in the past few years, I'd say Money Matt's got the edge at Charlotte over Super Matt, but Money Matt's going to need some luck. Could happen. Well, it was last year with Desjardins in the middle. Mm-hmm. But one thing always happens, this always happens at Charlotte with the mods, is there's always a winner on one of the nights that you don't expect.
Yes.
Like Picton area racer. He doesn't race much anymore that I see anymore, but he was on the Super Dirt Car Series a few years. Tim Kerr, he won at Charlotte. That was my favorite one because there was another Canadian that won down there. But like Desjardins, another example last year, and Yankowski, and even Brett Hearn won there. Like his last win of his career so far was at Charlotte, and he just kind of came out of nowhere, and it was a rubber down race, and you wouldn't have picked him to win before that night, but sure enough, even Brett Hearn, that was kind of a surprise when he won that one a couple years ago. But that's not a good example, though. But there's other ones, too. Just like there's always a strange winner in Charlotte.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to watching this weekend. It's going to be great to see.
Next weekend.
Yeah. Well, this next weekend coming up, but...
And this weekend.
I kind of feel like this is like the... It's like... Do I dare say I can't be as big as Super Dirt Week, but I just feel like it almost feels...
What, the World Finals?
The World Finals just
You could easily
different.
say that.
Do you think it's that? Do you think it's reached that point?
Just the way Super Dirt Week kind of... I don't want to say... It kind of got ruined. Like, didn't get ruined, but it's been through the ringer the last few years, switching venues and stuff.
I used to feel like the
Super Dirt Week has like the history and stuff.
Yeah.
But if we're talking like big of a weekend, yeah, World Finals is easily as big of a weekend as Super Dirt Week. But Super Dirt Week just has more history and a gazillion more stories attached to it. I'm not saying Super Dirt Week was big.
I almost feel like,
but World Finals
like
is also
Super Dirt
huge.
Week is like Super Dirt Week's almost like the milkshake, and then World Finals was like the cherry on top. And now I feel like it's more so like Super Dirt Week's the main course, and overall, the World Finals are the nice cherry on top of everything,
Well, the
dessert.
World Finals is just you get all three classes at once.
Yeah, it's so
Whatever you want, you got it all.
it's so weird to say, but like if they really start to feel like they're on par. Like I thought about
Like
that, and as
me,
a relative like newcomer, I'm like, no, you can't think of it that way, Jonathan. Like it's Super Dirt Week. Like it's got this history, it's got this thing, like you all those things you just mentioned. But now I'm like, no, it really does feel like World Finals Week is starting to get to being almost on par with Super Dirt Week in terms of its importance and how much it's celebrated.
yeah. Outside of the Northeast, no one gives a snot about Super Dirt Week.
Yeah, that's fair.
Technically, well, that's not fully true, but you know what I mean. It's more of a regional thing, where the World Finals is everybody converges on Charlotte.
Yes. Yeah. Um, Wanted to get to the championship 4 from Eldora for the late models. You
Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series.
Are we gonna get like a TC rant about the Lucas Oil
A little bit.
dirt
It's
models
not
here?
really a rant.
Dirt
Just
late models?
okay. So this is the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series, and this is the series that going into this season announced that they were going to do the big championship for crap like NASCAR and go down to 12, and then whatever they did, I wasn't really following it. And then it finally played out, and they just like NASCAR, like they did get their huge moment coming to the checkers where Brandon Shepard was leading and ran out of gas, but he held on to it, but he wasn't in on the championship. But then Hudson O'Neal won the championship, I think. I could be getting that wrong. All I know is Bobby Pierce won like 35 of the races, like almost 60% of them. And sure enough, he got boned on the last night doing the stupid NASCAR points chase stuff, which I cannot. I don't. Why we need that in dirt is just beyond me. Like, save that for the national TV crap, which, in my opinion, dirt is still national TV. All of us watching Fluent, but anyway, save that for the NASCAR crap is what I should say. All their chases, because in my opinion, there's just no spot for it in dirt racing. And RTJ got completely screwed. He should have been the champ, in my opinion. He had a wicked post about it, explaining how it's just going to be what it is, and he's come to peace with it. But man, I haven't, because RTJ is my champion of the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series. That is a fact. And he can wheel a midget, chili bowl. He'll go and wheel at the Tulsa Shootout and a micro, and he can just wheel so much stuff. And I love RTJ, and he got totally boned this weekend. And the one thing I didn't like they're learning, like they'll if they do it again, whatever. But they learned lots of stuff. Like in my opinion, it's not a good idea. Clearly, after this weekend, because they had rain the whole weekend through the whole thing through Eldora, and they had to squeeze it in on Sunday, and it was on not great conditions. Only 6 cars finished the 100-lap feature. Uh, just not the place to do it. Like, to have a race like that where the whole thing matters, you can't be staring at your phone wondering about weather all weekend and then running on a surface that ain't the best. So, in my opinion, if you're going to have a NASCAR style format like that, maybe you need to end it at more of a climate that's a little bit more sunny at all times during the year, because end of October at Eldora is rainy, and that's what they got. And there's lots of torn up cars after this weekend, and it still turned out a good race. But yeah, RTJ got screwed, just like I knew it was going to happen that way.
I like it. That
I
was
just
a
knew
good
it.
rant. That was a rant.
Yeah,
I like it. I don't necessarily disagree with anything you just said. I mean, like I know I'm the pro NASCAR guy here that rah rahs even the playoffs and understands why they do it. But I'm kind of with you. Like I'm looking at this and okay, the race paid 100,000 to win for Shepard's victory. Then the championship paid
yep.
200K for O'Neal to win. And the one thing about
Mm-hmm.
like dirt racing where I think I can kind of I don't want to say make an argument, but so with dirt racing, we know there's bigger purse events that you want to win, and that can pay off, or that can kind of pay for your season. So as long as there's more of those on the calendar, and the championship probably doesn't matter as much in terms of financials, then I guess I can kind of justify it. But let's say like that was the only 6-figure like payment that anybody could win all season long. then I'd really see
Hmm.
an argument of like, no, you can't let that come down for one last race. Like, and I'm in agreement. Like, I don't want to see this brought anywhere else. We're gonna get into the high limit acquiring the All Stars. I don't want Kyle Larson to be like, yeah, you know what, sprint car needs. I think it needs a playoff format. Like, no, I don't. I don't think it
Mm-mm.
needs that. Like the grind of dirt racing and how long the seasons are and how good you have to be and how you like not everybody can do this as like their only gig if you're following certain tours and everything else like that. They got to work other jobs, they got to do other things, they don't have full crews. You can't just let things like a $200,000 championship come down to one race across the board. It's fine that they did it. I don't hate it. I understand the playoff format, I understand the want for it, but I think in terms of dirt racing, in terms of racing in general, just let the whole thing play out over a whole year.
Yep. Hard to argue. I think most dirt car fans would be, or dirt racing fans would be in agreement. I'd say it'd have to be at least 75% to 25%. One, like us dirt fans are seasoned fans. Like there's not that many newbies. You know what I mean? Like there is
Yeah.
newbies, but they learn quickly like that we don't. We're different. Like, and that makes the years where it does happen, where there is wicked points battle, makes those years all more special. Just like
Yeah, and I think
the
the other
Outlaw,
thing
I
too
wanted to
about
touch
dirt
on this.
racing,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say before we get to the
No, I
Outlaws,
just wanted to.
like the other thing about dirt racing
Yeah,
that I was gonna say is that the wins matter more to the fans than the championships do a lot of times. Like, I think, like if somebody gets out to Merrittville Speedway, for example, they may only go once or twice for the whole year. So you know what they're going to remember? They're going to remember who won races that night. They're not going to remember that Pete won the championship unless they're diehards who track the points and are going to the websites and checking all that stuff. And that's not the average dirt fan because there's so much dirt racing going on and there's so much touring around and regionality to it that you really just worry about who's winning at your track when you go, I think, right? More than, a national touring series like NASCAR where it's televised on major cable networks and all that sort of stuff. Like dirt racing just doesn't need to be like that. You mentioned the World of Outlaws.
no,
Casey Kane made things kind of interesting in terms of a
yeah,
points battle with now correct me if I'm wrong. Is that's not still his car? Does he not still own Brad's car, or did that change?
yeah.
Yeah,
Like he didn't wreck him on purpose. He just happened to be the car that wrecked Brad Sweet and
Brad
then
Sweet.
let David Gravel into the points battle going into the World Finals at Charlotte. And then another like good example about points battles, like the USAC, they just rained out this weekend, so they confirmed Justin Grant's the USAC sprint car champion this year, and him and Brady Bacon like switched the point lead almost 20 times, I think, this year. So like there's an example of one of those special years that you get if you have a normal point system and not try to fabricate one every year. Like there's no denying that the best season in NASCAR history is 1992 because they had an actual chase scenario in a true point system on the last day of the year. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm going through and rewatching that whole season right now just because there's no telling me there wasn't a better season in NASCAR than that one. And that's the way it should be all time.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I was reminded today reading an article about how Jeff Gordon is a purist and how he actually really likes the old school system and he understands why the playoffs are. But if they had just kept a normal Winston Cup points,
Would
he would be a
he
7-time
have more
championship.
championships? He would
Yes, he'd
not.
be a 7-time champion. He won under the old point format. He won the title in 2004, 2007, and 2014, I think. Now that's assuming that
That's just
everybody would have raced a little bit different. Like that's what everybody says. It's like, oh, well, more guys would have stayed out to lead laps and get bonus points that way, and things could have been different.
that's true. That's true. That's all
But
true. That's all true.
assuming that it had played out the exact same way under the old Winston Cup points format, I can't remember who does it on Twitter. There's somebody who does keep track of who would be the old Cup Series
Yeah,
champion
I
and stuff
love.
like that.
To me, that's the real. I still look at that because, in my opinion, that's the real
Yeah, I want to
shit,
see the consistency.
not a fabric. And like even NASCAR's made it so much cornier now. Like if it would have been like a chase style at the end, like when Kurt Busch first won it,
Yeah,
like the first chase style, like it didn't come down to the last race, and it was like, oh, whoever finishes ahead in the last race gets it.
well,
Like that is
the funny part was that it did come down to that first year. It did come down to the last race, and I think Kurt Busch only won.
Yeah,
Like he won by
but
like
it
4
wasn't
points,
manufactured
6
to.
points, 8 points. Dale Earnhardt Jr. would be a champion. He would have been, I think, a 2-time Cup Series champion if they had
I'm,
left that point series.
yeah,
There's,
I'm for that.
yeah, I'm
I would have
for
loved to see it,
year-long
but
consistency. Like I think the only reason that NASCAR has a playoff system is because they have to compete against the NFL, and they needed to come up with something to do. Because IndyCar doesn't have a playoff system, but their season ends like literally week 2 of the NFL season, and that's arguably the way it should go.
NASCAR should just shorten their season to miss the NFL and run more midweek COVID races at the close tracks like Darlington and stuff.
Yeah, they tried that, but they don't.
No
I
qualifying.
think what instead of going to
I love that
Darlington,
shit. That was the best stuff to come out of COVID was the NASCAR midweek races at the cool
I
track.
think they if
4 races at Darlington
I
that
think if
year.
anything, what you do is you take those events to like Rockingham and North Wilkesboro, all the tracks that don't have major attendance, that like can
I'm
only
in.
fit
I love it.
25,000 people. Put them there. That's what you do with your midweek races. Then, like, yeah, they're not your biggest money makers, but they don't have to be crazy purses anyways. Like, you can do it. There's ways to work around that. Anyways,
Doesn't cost the teams as much if you stay local like
yeah,
that. Hold on. Yeah. I imagine NASCAR thinking like that, getting away from the NFL altogether. Could
we'll see.
could work for
Could
them.
happen. I mean, the weather alone is the most
Are they
motivation
run?
to do that.
Did they ever run Daytona on the same day as the Super Bowl? I know there was talk about
No,
that,
I
but
don't think so. I mean, maybe back in the day, but not since I have been.
there was talk about that recently that they were thinking about doing it again and like thinking it would be the perfect precursor to the Super Bowl. Everyone would it would like they would gain fans because they
You
could pump it
can't
up.
do that.
I don't think that's
No,
true at
people
all.
want to tune
No
in.
way.
Like they want to tune in all day long and watch all the preview stuff and everything else. You can't do that. Even like I know what people are saying, like because they wanted like next year the NASCAR schedule is all screwed up because of the Olympic break. And Cup Series is actually going to end a week later than it does normally. So like mid-November. Yeah. Which again, they end the season in Phoenix. It's not the end of the world because Phoenix is nice like all year round. But
Ugh, they need to. Who sent the thing cover Phoenix in dirt? I'm into that.
I
Phoenix
saw like
sucks.
an AI posting of that.
Not the.
How
Yeah,
do you
that
watch
was
that
it.
race from Homestead?
Not the
How
place
do you
to
watch
end.
that race from Homestead and not think that's the perfect place for it to end a Cup Series season? That's the most
Oh,
pure racetrack
totally.
left in NASCAR Cup Series racing. You can tell we're in the dirt off season, or at
I
least
could
the
give
off
you a
season locally,
dozen
because we're
tracks that are
talking a
better
lot
to end it.
NASCAR.
That's fine. Whatever.
We're a
That's
racing
because
show in
it
general.
started off as the point because Lucas Oil copied the NASCAR format. That's how we got onto that,
Yes.
and then it ended up screwing RTJ. Good thing he still won $1 million this year because he was badass. Thank God for that because he's still a
I
millionaire.
like it. All right. I'm just looking
Yeah.
quickly at the World of Outlaws sprint car points. So Gravel is within 50 points now of Brad Sweet in that championship. Those are I think mathematically that's the
Yeah.
only two that can
Would have
change
been.
spots at the top because Carson Macedo is
Yeah.
140 back.
It would have been pretty much locked up if it wasn't for Mr. Casey Kane wrecking his boy Brad Sweet, but it's still pretty. Brad Sweet's good at Charlotte, and he's gonna have some serious bad
Yeah.
luck.
Speaking of Brad Sweet, let's jump into the other kind of like silly season news.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Brad
Lead in
Sweet,
there.
Kyle Larson, and the High Limit Racing Series bought the All Stars from Tony Stewart and his group. So, what do we make of this? It solves the problem of there being 3 410 sprint car series, that's for sure.
Yeah. Not sure how I feel about it just now. Honestly, I want to see a schedule first and so much more before I have a full opinion on it. But definitely, I knew it was coming. Tony's busy drag racing, so definitely wanted to get rid of that. He wanted to get rid of that All Star Series. And they bought it, the high limits, and it's going to turn into a flow versus dirt vision thing, which I don't really like that.
I don't like it either because I think flow almost has an unfair advantage at this point.
Yeah, I just would rather them work together a bit and not try to murder each other. And
well, you got to give people
like,
a place to race. Now, my question to you, because I'm not 100% familiar with the rules and how it structures. So we obviously knew that World of Outlaws guys were limited to how many starts they could make in the high limit series. Were they also limited to how many starts they could make with the All Stars?
no, they were just allowed 4 events, non-outlaw. And this year was unprecedented. This is the first time they were even allowed 4. Before this, it was 0 before
Got it.
2023, right? So this year, because of high limit, they allowed, and they were paying all those 50,000s and the Eldora Million, they allowed 4. But what they did, because the Eldora Million was a 2-night show, that if you wanted to run the Eldora Million, they counted your qualifying night. So there was 2 right there. God, now you only got 2 more. So that's what they're trying to do, trying to force the Outlaws to maybe open it up a bit. But Dirt Tracker podcast or his daily videos on YouTube, he touched on this, and he did like the numbers, and maybe there's not enough true national 410 sprint car teams to go around for 2 full blown national series. Like he made a good point, like Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson promote Silver Dollar Speedway in California, so you're gonna obviously think maybe Gold Cup goes to the new series, which he just calls it High Limit, which I'm gonna just call High Limit, besides saying both. But
Mm-hmm.
so if that goes to the new High Limit stuff, so now that series, which is All Stars, has always been more of a regional series, like Ohio, and they just started branching out. They've always had a couple trips a year, but it was really more Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, closer kind of stuff. Pennsylvania, they've always done a few there, but All Stars has always been more regional. And like Ohio Speed Week might not be on the All Star / High Limit. There's people are wondering about that, and that's like been a staple of the All Stars forever. So it's definitely going to be different.
I almost wonder.
And yeah, I just need to see it
I
more of a
almost
schedule.
wonder if the All Star High Limit Series, whatever it's going to be called, I almost wonder if they look to what we did up here north of the border with the Action Sprint Tour and almost go regional, like have like a Southwest, a Northeast, a Central tour, and then guys can jump on that and then qualify themselves for like a national tour championship or something like that. And then maybe that allows for high car counts at specific regions, and then you can kind of take the best 30 or whatever it might be that are left there to compete in some kind of 2-month national tour event or something like that. Like that's kind of what I look at. Again, it all comes down to what that schedule is going to look like next year and how many high dollar, high paying races they're going to have.
Yep. A lot of it's they're going to try and put pressure on the Outlaws and let them open up to run more races. Like I'm already reading, who knows if it's true or not. Brad Sweet's not going to sign with the Outlaws and all this stuff like that. And yeah, I'm just pumped. Like they're probably going to start releasing stuff at PRI.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually so early December.
Speaking of
Start watching for
PRI,
that.
I wanted to
Yeah,
get to while I was sick. I left a message kind of on our Facebook page there, just saying like, hey, we're taking a week off, and here's some comments, some concerns, questions, whatever it is. Let us know. And when somebody was asking, I can't remember who exactly it was, but somebody wanted to hear the rumors. Let me get the name of the person first and foremost as a thank you for actually commenting. Um, where is it here? I think it was from Steve Selznick. Uh, Steve Senior
shocker.
wants to know fact or fiction on rumors and drivers' plans. That's kind of what he was looking for. I don't think there's a ton of rumors really going around right now. I don't know what you've heard in terms of driver changes or anything like that locally.
Locally, oh, I've heard
Yeah.
nothing really. Oh, I've heard of a sportsman guy moving up, but I ain't saying
Yeah,
who.
we can't say that stuff yet. I feel like a lot of stuff's going to break by the time all the banquets happen in a couple weeks. Maybe that's when we can talk about it. But at the same time, like, I just let the local drivers unveil things when they can. I don't think we need to play like Bob McKenzie sprint car insider for Ohsweken or anything like that. However,
Yeah, because I personally hate all those guys in NASCAR and stuff. Like just sitting there, just waiting for the thing.
yeah, you're a very anti-insider. It's pretty funny, honestly. I wish they just had more
Well,
details
because
that
they're
they could
usually
share.
spreading crap.
It's like
Yeah,
like
that's what. Yeah.
NASCAR sucks because there's no like salary disclosure or anything like that. It's like I want to know how many years a guy signed for, what he's getting paid, like just the same as like an NHL or NBA contract.
Because they don't want to tell you half the field ain't getting paid.
Well, the Cup Series, I think most guys are getting paid at least a couple hundred grand from what I've heard, but
A lot of them have to
they got to bring a
okay,
sponsor. Yeah,
like this is how it works. A lot of them they'll sit you down, bring in the sponsor. You have to bring the sponsor to
yeah.
get your contract. So
That's how
you
Daniel
know what I
Hemrick
mean?
got his deal at
Okay, you
Colleague.
bring this much, and then we'll get. Yeah, that's all of them work.
Yeah, it's all sponsorship dollar.
Or
But I
yeah,
mean, like that's
unless your name's Kyle Larson.
well, I mean, like
He rev- he couldn't get sponsors, so they put HendrickCars.com on the car. And then Rick Hendrick realized, holy smokes, I sell way more cars with that on his car. I don't even need a sponsor anymore. I make more money like
so.
this.
I've been
Like,
listening to
yeah,
Landon Castle and Parker Kligerman's
Larson breaks
podcast, and they
everything.
talked about that because they're talking about there's a big like talk right now on in NASCAR about sponsorships and how to make guys stars again and all that sort of stuff, right? How to make some superstars, have people be actually like nationally known as drivers, stuff like that. And they were
And that's
talking
really
about the
hard.
Kyle Larson Hendrick deal, right? And Larson just or not Larson, Landon Castle. He jokes, he's like, yeah, that's what you have to say on your tax forms. You have to make sure that it's actually justified when you're spending money on your race team from your own company to saying it's a sponsorship, right? So he's like, oh, it's just a big tax thing.
True. Well, that works for him.
Everything works for Hendrick.
But going on that point, like my mom says this all the time. It's hard to build up your name and build up your image when your car is a different scheme
Every single
every
week.
week.
I know.
Except for Larson, he's one of the only ones that keeps the same scheme.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like back in the day, Earnhardt was Goodwrench. Like the only race they would do special schemes was the
Yeah.
All Star race back in the day, and everyone had their image, and it was easy to know which car was which. And like my mom's a Larson fan, so it's easy for her. But everyone else, she's like, "Who's that?" Like she has to wait until you get a close up of the car to
Yeah.
get to
There's
see
no
the number.
brand identity.
Which back in the day you didn't have to do that. You could
Mhm.
just tell by the paint job.
No, it
Yep.
almost needs to be like I feel like NASCAR's gonna start taking a page out of other sports where like you have to almost make your it's almost like soccer jerseys, right? Like they only have one sponsor and that's that. It's like the league itself has to pay these teams and then the sponsorship money is just everything on top. And then like sign every team gets their one sponsor that's like associated with NASCAR as a brand or the team as a brand and then you can kind of identify them like that. Like I just the model is so broken right now in racing, but or at least in NASCAR, I should say. But until they decide to like fully put their both feet into being a big four sports style organization, they're gonna continue to be broken. Like you have to start operating your league like your baseball, like your hockey. I'm not saying you got to go with a salary cap, but maybe you do. But just in general, have revenue sharing. Start with that. Like NASCAR's going to start forking over some money and have guaranteed, like you make all 36 races, this is what you're guaranteed to make, and this is what you can spend or whatever, right? Like there's a way to do it and way to fix the model, but they have to fully lean into other big four sports, which is why when we talk about things like a playoff in dirt racing in the world of outlaws and the late models and stuff like that, it just doesn't work the same because they're not a
Yeah.
big four sport. It's not or run the same way. It's too regional, too local. There's too many other factors involved compared to what NASCAR does and what having $1 billion TV deal does for a sport.
And then, yep. And tying that back into the high limit purchase, like this could like make or break sprint car racing. Like if they, in my opinion, if they work together with the Outlaws and don't totally try to bury him, and if Brad Sweets wants to fall off the tour, that's fine. But like, kind of work together. If they like do that and kind of work together and like build it up, they could like shoot through the moon and push sprint car racing like to places you've never seen, which we're already at.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're almost to like mid 2000s when they were on TNN all the time. Now with Flow and Dirt Vision, I feel like, and all the big extra money races, like we paid a sprint car driver $1 million to win this year. And I feel like they're building back up and they're almost back there with sprint cars. And if they go too far with the Outlaws, try to take them down and cause a fight, I think that could kill it as well. Like, because NASCAR, in my opinion, is unrepairable. Like, you're never going to see the popularity like we did in the late 90s, mid 2000s. Like, never. That's gone forever. And I just, hope they don't kill sprint car racing like that, which
No.
they won't, but it could happen. Just don't go. People have taken runs at the Outlaws before. The first one was 1989. They formed the USA Tour or something like that. And all the guys went off it, and that one died in a year. And the second time it happened, it was in 2006, and it was called the NST, National Sprint Tour. And it was founded and run by a man named Fred Brownfield, who was a really smart sprint car promoter guy. He promoted Grace Harbor Raceway. And that one was getting some. It was really starting to get some attention. That's when Donnie Schatz won his first Outlaw tour. When like Steve Kinzer and all the other guys joined the NST for that year. Schatz got his first World of Outlaw tour championship that year, and that series won the first Knoxville Nationals. But all the hitters were there. It's not like it broke up that race or anything. But that was one that got really close to maybe gaining ground to overthrow the Outlaws. But Fred Brownfield got killed that year working the track. Like he was just working in the infield, and the car spun out through the infield and killed him. So that was probably the best shot at it. And we didn't get to see what happened. That was like a golden gift for the Outlaws, unfortunately for Fred. And yeah, because that took the NST right out of it, and everyone went back to the Outlaws the year after. But if that wouldn't happen to Fred, I do feel like he was smart enough to kill the Outlaws and maybe take it higher by himself. But we'll see what Kyle and Brad got. That was huge news.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see. I think the schedule is going to be the first big thing, and then how it's formatted will be those are the two kind of big things that will determine everything on how this is all going to go down and how it's all going to work. But with all that said, the World of Outlaws short track finals, or World of Outlaws World Finals, and World of Outlaws short track, or what do we call it? Dirt Cars.
The Sportsman feature just ended. Short track
That's
World Championships.
Thank you. I'm like, what's the actual title?
The Sportsman feature just ended, and Nelson Mason was winning the whole thing. I did not notice if he got it done or not. It was him and Kevin Ridley battling the whole race for the win.
Hang on. Let's see if it's on Twitter. I'm going to check Twitter or X or whatever it's called. I refuse to call it anything but Twitter.
Oh, it literally just finished. Nelson might have got her done. They're doing like victory lanes off to the side. Just give it a minute here.
Oh, Dirt Car Northeast tweeted, and Mason still holding Ridley with 5 laps to go, and that's the last update I have. Come on.
Yeah. I think he did win it.
I think he got it.
Kevin Ridley won last year. I think he did too. Oh. Yeah, I always say my laps. That was the first transponder thing. My race pass will know.
You got it open?
There's your shout out, Dougie Leonard, for my race pass. Yep, it's going right. I got it. It is. Dun, 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 dun. Nelson Mason wins. Awesome. Followed by Kevin Ridley, David Rogers, Michael Wright, and Derek McGrew. Top 5. There you go.
We got like some breaking local news right at the end of the podcast.
Nelson Mason wins the dirt track at Charlotte.
Is a huge win.
First night.
Huge win for Canada.
Big win.
Wow.
Yep.
Love to see it.
That's pretty cool.
With all that said, I did want to give a huge shout out to all things World Finals and World Short Track Finals and all that, because next week, probably no podcast because I'll be in Las Vegas. So we'll probably skip an episode next week and then come back after the World Finals and recap all of that and maybe have some guests on from that. So
that's perfect.
Oh,
definitely gonna have a guest.
One last thing. There was one last thing that was requested we talk about. A lot of people actually requested when we were talking about this to make sure that we do the number every single episode. I know during the Ohsweken preview and review episodes, we didn't bother with an actual episode number.
Those didn't count.
No, we did.
Those were special Ohsweken based episodes because they forked up and sponsored the show. Thank you, Ohsweken. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Clint.
Exactly.
Thank you, everybody.
But in general, people do like that segment, so we will make sure that we get those going for all future episodes as well.
And then we didn't do 1 to 10, so when we go into the hundreds, we can use, like, I know a number 100, but we can also use number 1.
There we go.
Didn't do 1.
We'll repeat.
That's what we're going to do. So then the first 10 of the hundreds, we'll do 1 through 10, and then some numbers in the 100s have people, like 111, Robbie Rounce, 123, Robbie Kroll. There's more.
Yeah, there's names and numbers we can pick from for sure.
111, Alan Wills.
Somebody asked, I think it was Fran commented. I think this is on my personal sharing of the story. There you
112,
go.
Gary Blue.
Fran wanted to hear more about my go-karting plans because I put out a little teaser on my social media today at Jonathon on Air. It's up on my YouTube channel. There's a vlog coming. By the time this is out, it's probably also going to be out on my YouTube channel. But yes, I have every intention of going go-kart racing next year. The deal is slowly but surely coming together as long as I can find the funding. More details are going to be on that. But if you want to get involved, you want to advertise in Western New York or potentially at Merrittville, depending on what happens with the rules situation.
I want to talk about that.
Yes, let's
Merrittville, fix your rules. So
Make it the
Ransomville people
same.
can come over. Make it the same. Back in my day, we had 20 carts minimum in every class. Like, it was a hell of a show. Now, like, ugh. And that's because we had the same rules as Ransomville, and people, like, so many people would run both. Jonathan Reed, Tim Finan, like, so many people would run both back in the day, and we need that again. And all the Ransomville people that I saw commenting on the post saying to change it, you people have to show up a lot of weeks. Like, can't just come once. You have to come a lot. Just like people,
Yes.
they would come every week back in the day. Susie, Rudolph, so many people came all back. Like, I watched all this today's stars grow up racing because the rules were the same and they could run both tracks. Fix it.
Yes. Merrittville Kart Club. Figure it out. We did some
Figure it
advertising
out.
with you guys last year, or earlier in this season, I should say. Make it the same so that I can go and run both racetracks, because right now I
Yes.
am only set to run at Ransomville,
And Jamie
depending on the
Porter.
sponsorship
And
and everything
Liam
else.
Daniels.
Yes, we want to see
All the
all the
boys.
stars come together, all the boys, all the best racing. Make Travis Miller, if he wants it, the race director, because it sounds like that's the rumor that he might be taking over that role. We would love to see it, or at least the lead tech guy or
Better
whatever.
pay
Yes.
well.
Like, get this man paid.
I don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, I
More than a
believe
hot dog. Like, honestly, to be race director at go-kart night, in my opinion, to take the heat you got to take, because like my dad used to call it, minor hockey on wheels, which it totally is. Like, everyone's going to be the next Richard Petty out there. And yeah, the race director's got to take a lot of heat, more than, like, in my opinion, more than Saturday night
yes,
race
for sure.
directors. And the problem with the go-kart race director is you can't hide in the tower, like
You're
a
right
lot
there.
of Saturday night weekend people like to do. You're right there, like right in the heat of it. They can just walk up to you and start reaming you.
It's brutal. But yes, the plan is for me.
So at least $150 to me, that should be like
I love it.
easily.
We got to be like Travis's or whoever's agent for whoever signs on to be the race director. We got to get like a 15% cut for negotiating the deal.
And if you get a solid car count, you can afford to pay your race director to show up and take absolute shots all night, like nonstop. I'm guilty of it. When we raced with Billy Evans' Pee Wee Evans' son, Trevor Evans, a couple of years ago, like, I was right in it too. Like, I turned into one of those parents quickly. I wasn't a parent, but I was his Pee Wee's. Yeah, he's basically my little nephew, which he's not, but he basically is. And I turned into one of those people.
It does.
It happens. So yeah, those people, the race director.
I'm going to do my best to not turn into one of those people, and I'm going to do my best to put together the funding to go and run full time with Scott Just and the Just Designs and Signs guys over at Ransomville, and hopefully Merrittville. If we get the rules on the same page, please, whoever is involved with the Merrittville Kart Club, let's do it. I want to be at the racetrack as much as possible next summer in my own cart. And I really want to make this deal happen with Scott. So if you want to be a part of the partnership package, at Jonathon on Air is a very good place to get a hold of me over on social media. And I think I'm going to have an email attached in the YouTube video as well. So check that out when it drops. And let's leave it there. Let's park it. This has been episode 71.
That was almost two TC rants in one episode.
Bonus.
That was two. That was one on Lucas Oil series and then one on Merrittville rules.
Makes up for it. Makes up for it. I like it. Let's put the pressure on it. Let's get the go-karts the same. Let's grow go-karting because it's affordable racing compared to everything else that's going on in the racing world these days.
And it's great. I don't know about anymore, but like back in my car, there was a 50,000 to win go-kart race. Like, it is serious down in the States. They have 10,000 win races. Yeah, like, it's no joke.
Let's get this program back in the right direction. Merrittville, and get everybody synced up, and hopefully I'll see you at the racetracks next year, next summer. But let's leave it there. Thanks for following along at Southern Ontario Dirt Show Podcast on Facebook, at @sods_pod on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps. Comment, share, all of that stuff heading into the off season. No episode next week. We'll come back after the World Finals and recap all things Charlotte right here on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show Podcast. And the checkered is out on another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show presented by Ohsweken Speedway and Bicknell Racing Products. Like what you hear, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Connect with us on Facebook at Southern Ontario Dirt Show, or find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at SODS_pod. Have a question for the show? Email us, southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting local racing in Southern Ontario, and we'll see you at the track.